This is Empire Sports Alliance, Unfiltered. No fluff, no filters, just the real side of sports. We're talking athletes, coaches, agents, doctors, executives, the people behind the scenes who actually move the needle. From building careers to surviving the grind to winning off the field. This is where real conversations collide.
Welcome to another episode of Empire Sports Alliance Unfiltered. I'm Ronnie, I'm the wealth guy, my co-host Eric.
Hey, I'm Eric, sports concierge services for you.
And today we got Ned Herrington as our guest. Ned, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Well, Ned, I mean, obviously you're in the scouting, general management, coaching, football operations side of things. And I think you want to kind of start in terms of like how you chose that path, and then also maybe explain to the audience a little bit. And again, the team that you work for is the Texas Syndicate, the Continental Football League, right? I think there's a lot of like lack of understanding or not understanding at all in terms of all the different leagues that are out there that give young, folks that maybe haven't been drafted, don't play in the UFL, et cetera, an opportunity to play football and create some tape. So, but with that, I'll kind of turn it over to you and again, explain in terms of how you got into it and then the different leagues.
All right, sounds good. So I originally got into it because late in my high school career of playing, and I played a little bit of semi-pro. I developed a shoulder issue, ended up having to hang up the cleats, had a lung issue too, but that was not a part of football. It was unrelated. So it just got to a point where I was like, yeah, let me hang up the cleats. I don't want to keep putting my body at risk and, being out because I was just no help for a team. I actually declined a couple college offers to go play because I called that coach and I was like, hey, coach, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll come out there and just be wasting the spot. I'll be on the bench because I don't know how my shoulder is going to hold up. Because I would literally hit somebody and maybe like 3 or 4 plays after hitting, I'm off on the sideline, hanging one arm down, trying to pull it back up. So that's when I decided, hey, let me go to school for this and help guys that are getting overlooked, don't get looked at, get into the spotlight and give them a chance to play football. So that's what I've been doing. I started off in the agency world where I was scouting for some NFL PAs. Got a couple guys into the NFL that way. And then I branched off into coaching, arena football.
What team were you with?
I was with the Ozark Lunkers for my first season coaching professional, and they're up in Springfield, Missouri. Great team, great ownership. I would recommend any player to go play for them because they know how to take care of players. They don't just. I heard stories that even when I was with the agency, I had to negotiate deals because I was allowed to negotiate any deals that all the way up until the NFL. So I can negotiate CFL, UFL, and all the arena deals. NFL was the only one that has the player bargain agreement where I couldn't negotiate. So I would negotiate deals, and there were some times where, for example, one league that I will tell guys never to go to is the IFA. We had a couple clients out there they had a cabin with 20 players per cabin, and they were sleeping literally on air mattresses right next to each other because the ownership was so cheap in that league. So I was like, don't ever go there. And then for arena leagues, I think there's 23 existing arena leagues, but only 4 of them are worth playing in. And that's the TLA, NALA, AF1, and Indoor Football League. If you ain't in those leagues, don't worry about playing arena. So if you want to go get film, I can see that. But then again, you're not going to get the credibility that you'll get by playing in those other leagues if it's not one of those arena leagues. Outside of that, certain positions in arena league and any of those arena leagues, you won't be able to get looked at properly. So you do need outdoor film. So going to play like in the Continental Football League, the UFL, or even the Mexican League down in Mexico would be a better option because you can't fully, like wide receivers, you won't be able to hit full speed in an arena football field, just because there's no plays that you're. It's small, and there's like no play that's you're gonna hit that running speed with. So you just don't go to that. It's really Arena League's really built for defensive linemen and offensive linemen, and then quarterbacks developing their short, quick game throws. Outside of that,
So just overall understanding that. So just obviously there's a bunch of different leagues, right? But you're
yes,
talking about, young people, again, play college ball, or maybe even if they don't get an offer to college, straight out of high school. You're talking about different leagues, and I want you to go into a little bit more in the Continental League, where you work. But these are opportunities for young athletes, again, that don't get to play, Division I or college football, or don't get to play UFL, or again, have no chance of drafted. These are leagues. So I guess in other sports you could compare it to minor leagues, where they have an opportunity, and again, depending on the position they're playing, to actually showcase, hey, we might deserve, to be a pro as well. So is that kind of
yes,
overall, is that the way it works?
yes, and some of them are D1 athletes because a lot of stuff goes down to numbers on that pro day. They could be an outstanding college athlete and still not get an offer to go play in the NFL because their numbers were so bad. But it also depends on what school you went to, because sometimes if you go to SCE school, they might even just mini camp you just because of the helmet you wore. So that's a big factor too. Like I'll say, NFL scouts have been getting lazy. They just go to University of Texas,
Sure.
LSU, these big Oregon, these big schools to pick guys, or they'll just go to the national championship, whoever won, and just go to those schools. They're not really scouting these days. They're just chasing the helmet. Um, what they're going to have to learn to do because of NIL is evolve and actually learn how to scout or scout properly, because now it's whoever's writing the biggest paycheck to the athlete, and that's where they're going to go. There's no more hiding behind a helmet. So it's not you just go to Texas now and that's who you pick up. You go to LSU now. It's now you can go anywhere. It depends on who's paying the biggest paycheck. So
So has that changed the number of guys getting picked up from, let's say, your league and going into the NFL?
right now, because it's our first year back, we've only had a couple guys moved up through our league, and we haven't even played a game yet. We'll have a better number of that after this season and going into next year. We'll have like a guaranteed number of how many guys strictly came to play from us and went up there. We just know that from the connections that we had, we were able to move up some guys before without even actually playing. So
Now, random question. I know arena football's different. I know, I believe CFL is also. Do you guys have the same rules and size field as the NFL, or are you unique and different also?
so we are we're in the same category as the UFL, where we're player development, but the difference between us is our first three quarters are strictly NFL rules, and then our fourth quarter we do a thing called the Continental Shift, and we switch into Canadian rules. So now they can come here to our league. So say a general manager in the CFL is worried if they'll adapt to CFL rules, they come play for us. We get them actual film in the CFL, so now they can reassure that general manager to bring them in up there, especially with the cost of bringing an athlete up there and getting them up there and then cutting them. Yes, it's not much money compared to those bigger leagues. They're able to afford it, but they'll be a little bit more hesitant if they're not 100% sure, because it's still, money at the end of the day. Got to go through, especially the CFL. You got to go through border control and all that. So, and customs.
What's an average salary a guy's getting in the CFL, the Continental League, Arena? How much are these guys making?
That just varies on which league it is and what position they play. So that just ranges. I know for Arena, that can range anywhere from I've seen guys get paid as low as $250 a game, all the way up to $1,000 a game for us, we're set at $400 for our players and $750, $725 for our quarterbacks. It really just depends on um, what team you're with for the COFL, and then for arena, same thing. CFL, it depends on position. I've seen guys go up there for 60 grand, and I've seen some guys go up there for almost 200 grand. And it depends on what kind of deal they're signing. So it all changes based on the player and what position it is and what team. But for the most part, you're looking at you can safely say about 40 to 60 grand at least for those players to go up there to the CFL. Same for the UFL. So,
Yeah. All right.
So again,
so our team, we play out of Austin, Texas, up in the Pflugerville area. We play out of P Field, which is a big high school stadium that seats about 10,000 people. And we'll be out there playing this season. Our main goal is to get guys the film and everything they need to move up. So if a player came to us and was like, "Hey, my 40 wasn't as fast as it could be," the Jets said if I can get film and I can get my stuff, get my number up, they'll bring him up. So what I do after that point, I reach out to the Jets, I speak with the Jets, and I let them know that hey, they're going to be with us to improve these numbers. So after they can get called up for a workout. So that's just one of the things we do.
As an agent also?
This is at the general management role, the agent side of the role. I've kind of took a step back to where now I just scout for them. But when I was in the agency role, I would do the same thing. I would work with the general manager to get them the opportunity to move up. But as you can see, there's a lot of general managers that don't do that. They'll just want their guy to come in and win that game and win this for them. They don't really care afterwards. They'll find another guy because every year you got about 16,000 athletes coming out. So everyone's replaceable. They'll just be like, he'll go work at Walmart if he doesn't come back. So they just move on to the next one. So then some general managers care and will help you move up. The others won't.
what do you see from an agency perspective, kind of like to Eric's point, in terms of like, shouldn't that be the agent in terms of like maybe making sure to advocate for their clients, talking to you, what do you see there?
It should be both. I feel like one, yes, the agency's main job, because they work on commission, they should really be the ones focusing on it. But also as a general manager, you can bring better talent into your team if they know that you can move up from that team. For example, Albany Firebirds, they have sent guys to the UFL. They have sent guys to bigger league CFL, and I believe they sent some guys to the NFL to work out. If I would want, as a player, I would want to go to a team like that versus a team that doesn't have that. Because then what am I going to there for? Yes, I can go there to get film and I can show that I'm still active, but I would still want a team that will be able to do that for me. So it's almost, yes, agencies, definitely the agent and agency's job, but the general manager should do it because he could bring in better talent and win a championship with it. So, because he's going to bring the best talent. Everyone's going to want to come play versus you having to basically negotiate them and sell them the opportunity. Because that's another part of the thing. There's guys, we're not the NFL, we're not the UFL, not the CFL. Some of these guys hang it up after that because we don't pay enough. But if you can sell them the idea and sell them the dream of what this could take, they'll come play for you. So,
I mean, obviously they're not making a ton of money, so I'm assuming guys have a second job at the same time. So how often are you doing practices, and what's the requirement and expectations for these guys?
So I know for my team, I made it strict and I went over with the coaches that these guys do only have 2 mandatory practices and then game. Yes, I know that shortens the times for the coaches to be with them, but the practices are 3 hours long. And from the start of January, when we started bringing guys in, we had weekly meetings where they started learning the playbook virtually with the coaches and building that relationship and bond. So by the time we get to camp next week, they're going to hit the ground running. So, and they just have to kind of just execute what they've been seeing every week with the coaches. And on top of that, we do have a mental health coach for guys at the team. We have financial classes for the guys, and then we have jobs lined up in Austin, so they're able to work while they're here, so they can build a career outside of football. Versus, say they get the opportunity to go to one of the bigger leagues, they don't go up there and spend all their money. We're helping them financially control their money, manage their money, learn how to invest, learn how to grow so they can be successful. So if they go up there and play for a year, if they go up there and play for 10, at least they know how to use their money and they're not going to be broke and homeless like some of the athletes that we see now because those teams didn't. So
Yeah.
So going from college to the Continental League, let's just say, is it a similar playbook? Because we've talked to some NFL guys and they're like, going from college to NFL, we realized we didn't know football, because the game was so different. Is it more similar to college and it's easier for them to take it on because they're not meeting with you guys as much also?
I know our playbook is not hard, but not easy, but we break it down so it's simple enough for them to understand. And I spoke with the OC and we're going to break it in like 15 plays at a time every week. And that's what they've done. So when they're coming to practice, we'll start executing the first 10, 15 plays at each practice and then learning and see which ones work well. Because you also have to make sure that you have the right players for those plays. So a coach could have a playbook of 60 plays, but only 30 of them work with the personnel. My job as the general manager is making sure that I bring in the right players to execute. So instead of him being limited to 25, 50%, he's now has his whole playbook, if not 75%. And that's what I've worked with the OC over here with the Syndicate. And he's a hidden gem. He's been a part of an offense that averaged about 500 yards in college at a D3 level. So, bring
Let me ask something on that end then, because you just brought it up in regards to we always hear the phrase of like, hey, the players didn't fit the scheme. I always kind of have a hard time with that in terms of, if you even on the really professional NFL level, right? Where I'm like, my question is it the player not fitting your scheme, or is your scheme just not fitting the professionals that you have on your team? What is your take on that?
It is, to me, is that coach willing to adjust his playbook to the players he has? When our OC came in late, because we switched OCs mid off season because our original OC got a job at a college, so he brought in this other guy, and our first OC was a very run heavy guy, so we had 3 running backs. Now he's not a big run guy. He was more of quick pass, air raid. But the fact that we had 3 amazing running backs, he was actually able to adapt and adjust his playbook. That's what you want out of a coach. You don't want a coach to come in and be like, I'll still run what I have and, they just have to deal with it. No, he made the adjustment, so he's ready for the season. So, yes, it's the general manager's job to, help and make sure that we bring in players to fit the scheme. And there's players that just don't fit the scheme. And, it sucks to suck, but they'll most likely get cut or released. But but my job is to make sure that doesn't happen. So,
how long
yes,
is
and
the
no.
guy usually in your league for?
Oh, our season's short. We don't play 17-week season. We're really here for you to get your film and go. So we have 6 games, regular season, 2 postseason games. So we just want them to come in, basically like a quick summer league. They come in, play, get their film, and then move up. We'll be done by August 1st, so they can go up and play in the preseason in the NFL or sit on a practice squad
So
up
again,
there.
that is perfectly aligned, right, in terms of like them
Yes.
getting a call for a training camp.
Yeah, so we made it.
That's the
Yes, we adjusted our schedule. Manny did a good job, and Mike, of making sure that the league season ends by August 1st. And then we spoke with the NFL office, and they even told us have everything out by August 1st, and we could potentially bring up your top guys, depending on how well they do. At least for a workout, they said.
well
So
important.
yes, we spoke with them. We spoke with the college because we have spoke about a couple of things that might be happening in the future there, and because we do have guys that are coming from the semi-pro level that didn't want to go to college. So it's another alternate route too for guys that don't want to go to college, because some guys are just not. They'll say that they're not book smart for college. So we have a way for them to play too. So
I think that's a great setup. And again, they get paid for the games that they play, and they have a job. You help them from a financial literacy perspective, which I think is very important, right? You kind of like, they have the opportunity to kind of go into a camp, so to speak. But
I was going to say it's like a 6 to 8 week training camp to get them ready for it.
Yes, and then our games are free to watch for the public. So we're not charging no subscription and streaming service. You could just log on and watch us. We'll be streaming through a couple different platforms. I'll be able to get those later in the date. We're actually having meetings to finish that up right now, but I do know that we definitely will have it on YouTube stream through our YouTube for sure, because we have a whole broadcasting crew coming out. How do we make money? Through ticket sales? Ticket sales, people investing, sponsorships, partnerships. We have banners. We have a system built up to get our money through a different way. And that's why we're a community-driven league. So we really embrace the fact of being in the community. We don't be like the UFL and fly you in for the game and then you leave the same night. We're actually going to be out at community events, hanging out with the animal shelters, taking care of volunteering and the plug, all sorts of. If there's a community event, we'll be there. So, shortest way to say it.
Good.
cool.
And they'll actually be holding our own. What's up?
I want to go into a little bit more in terms of like the scouting. Obviously, you're building out a team as well. But before we do that, let's take a quick break and basically do our little episode of wacky stats. So we will be right back. Okay, Eric, let's do our wacky stats here, focusing on scouting and GMs. Let me get started here. So studies show that GMs use the phrase high upside approximately 4,000 times per off season.
Well, you got to have a high upside.
Indeed.
So with that, 87% of football GMs say they trust the process. But usually that lasts until the fans start tweeting after week 1.
Yeah, it's easier to trust that process when you're winning. But
right?
There's another study that basically kind of shows, in terms of the focus, football GMs often have to think about preseason, ahead, while fans simply care about next Sunday, right? So it's quite a big difference in terms of like from an approach perspective. But yeah,
True. And with that, one successful draft class can change a franchise. but one bad free agent contract can set it back for years.
Very true.
Or no.
That's interesting. Well, let's get back to the episode and ask Ned about that. All right, guys, back from our wacky stats here. Ned, again, so you're in the Continental League. Your Texas Syndicate, that's your team. You're the TM. You're scouting. So now you're filling out a roster as we speak. I think I saw some post that you're still looking for D tackle and O lineman as well. So walk us through the process, because I mean, essentially it's the same thing. You have had experience with the pro level, et cetera, but what does a GM do in terms of like to really get that team set up? And you mentioned it previously in regards to coordinating with the coaches, et cetera. But what is in the process? What does it entail?
The process is I'll post about it, or I'll go through college rosters and I'll look, or scout through Instagram and stuff. And then sometimes I'll speak to athletes, because a lot of these athletes know each other. So if you speak with an athlete, I'll call up my defensive line guys. Like, hey, you got an old college athlete that still wants to play? They'll send me some guys. It's crazy, but like that's really the easiest way to do it. And you just go speak with that guy, get his film, evaluate it, see if he fits the scheme. Or you go find the guy yourself if you don't want to go through one of those guys. Same process. You speak with them, evaluate the film. But what you're looking for is guys that, all right, are they going to be playmakers? Are they going to be me players? Are they just going to hold their gap and do their job? What kind of player are there? Like I spoke with a guy when I was back in the agency role last year, a guy called Cole Nelson. He had a buddy that, the NFL was looking high at. And I called him and I talked to him, and his mom and him both asked me, "Why are you looking at me?" And I was like, well, if you watch the film, you're the one that's holding two guys back. Your buddy just happens to be the open space because you're holding the other two guys. That guy's easy to find. I can find somebody that can make a tackle. I need a guy that can hold two offensive linemen and manhandle them. So that's what I look at when I'm looking at the film. I don't always look at stats, because yes, stats matter, but I also look like, how is he getting them stats? Who's opening the field for him? Because that's who I want. If I can get 3-4 of those guys that can hold 2 or 3 offensive linemen and then put them all on the line at the same time, they're going to run out of the offensive line is going to be overwhelmed, and it's going to open up for the linebackers or that potential extra defensive lineman to run and make the tackle. So that's where it comes for the defensive line. A little bit of scouting spurt.
I have a question for you. So it's a little different. So I do a lot of work with the MLB guys.
Okay.
And I see a lot of guys in the minor leagues also. So all levels. I get guys coming to me because they're not getting what they need through the training room, through these pro teams. So your football obviously is much more physical than baseball. So you're getting guys coming out of college and all that who are, let's be honest, banged up. And then even though it's a short season, what do you do to take care of the guys? And are you offering them any services to help them out, or are they kind of all on their own and they're finding a guy like me to come in and take care of them?
So what I do when I speak to every athlete that wants to come play for us, I talk to them about their injuries, see how severe it is, speak with them the concerns about, hey, coming to play with us. I got a guy named CJ Bazile out of Buffalo, great athlete. He went his pro day, he tore his Achilles. So was out. The NFL scout came over to the owner of the agency and was like, he'll probably never play professional football, at least at the NFL level. He had everything leading up to that. His numbers were looking great. He was in a like 3 or 4 teams went over to the owner and was like, "Hey, he's probably going to go to at least one of these mini camps." But once that happened, everything wished away. I still speak with him to the day, and I have talked to him and be like, "Hey, do you want to come continue to play football?" He understands that he's going to have to go through a minor league like this before moving up. So I tell him, was like, some of those leagues don't have it where you're on your own. So as as the agent side, I help him out. Even at the GM side, I got guys that come in that might have a issue. I talk to them, be like, "Hey, this is what you should probably bring. This is what you should probably have with you." But for the most part, due to us being new, our first year in, we can't provide all the things, but we do have it lined up to come in later down the line. The more partnerships we're able to bring in, and we'll see how everything gauges. We'll be able to provide more of that stuff. But right now, we will have a athletic trainer that will meet with them either at practices and games to help prevent that. But that's all we're able to offer at this time. And then we did, fortunately, get polar ice dive. They ended up giving us a ice bath so guys can recover with that. And then we have a gym facility for them to rehab some stuff. But like I told guys, if it's a major injury, I'm probably going to let you go home and release you. And it's nothing against you. It's just you'll recover better in your own bed versus one of our housing rooms, which is an extended stay hotel with a kitchen. It's just you recover better at home, versus not at home. So we spoke with him about that. Basically told him, was like, "Hey, the money's not amazing, but we're here to get film. We're here to develop you." And on top of that, with guys that are coming into town, we have some guys staying for the whole year due to we only have one coach coming out of town, and he's coming from Canada. The rest of them are either in San Antonio or Austin, and they have agreed to work with every athlete year round. So one coach actually has his own gym, Kevin Garrett, that played for the Texans. He has a gym out in Dripping Springs. He told every athlete, he said, "Whoever stays can come and work out with me all year long." And
Yeah, it's 22 because you want the guys healthy to go into the NFL, but you don't have the funds, which makes it difficult. I get that.
yes,
Yeah.
so it's trying to prevent injuries before they happen. So, we actually have hydration that's going to be posted up in their rooms to hydrate. We have different recovery methods, but we can only prevent so much because it is a contact sport that it will happen regardless. And it's just trying to mitigate it the best we can. So with 2 practice a week should help with that versus I know some teams in the league that are practicing almost 3 to 4 days. And I was like, your guys are going to be coming into our game banged up. So.
All right.
So what are some
Maybe
of the
able
traits?
to help get some of that on the side. We'll talk.
All right.
But what are some of the traits from a scouting perspective that you look for beyond just athleticism?
I look for character. I look at their Instagram, their social media. What do they do on their off time? Are they going to parties? Are they posting their smoking? I learned that from a Vikings scout. He told me he doesn't look at anybody that has a gas station photo. If they're at a gas station, stand up with peace signs, automatically eliminated. So,
Say again, what, gas station with peace out? Help me
What is
understand.
that?
I don't know. It's a Vikings thing, but he basically broke it down to it. They usually have smoking on part of their thing. They're out partying. They just avoid them in general. So if they have those photos,
For that piece,
what's up?
with the partying? What's the limit with the partying in terms of, because I mean obviously these are young guys, right? They might go every once in a while. It's just
This is what I tell
Is that a
guys.
limit or is that like
They can party.
going on?
I just try to tell them, don't post about it. Go party, go have fun. Just don't let everybody know. Make it look like if your grandma was to come look at your Instagram, if she doesn't approve of it, don't post it. Because you're essentially a product that you're selling to these teams to move up.
Yeah.
So if you're showing that you're partying and all that, there's a lot of stuff that could happen to that too while you're out partying. You can get an injury and you could be banged up. So you come into camp and you're injured. So it's just a lot of variables that why they try to avoid guys that go out and party and post about it. Yes, you can party. It happens. These are college kids, but don't broadcast it. So
So social media is definitely not their friend, is what you would say, right?
yes, social media is not their friend. No, do not let people post it. It happens, but you try to avoid it for the most part. But as you see that even when in the NFL these days, athletes that go party, they get blown up on social media. Media's like, look at this, look at that. And for example, look at Stephon Diggs. They got onto him thinking that he was doing coke just because of partying on a boat, and that so you just gotta avoid social media.
For those guys, it's kind of a thin line too, if you think about it, right? Because there's
Yeah.
also the branding, the marketing yourself, right? So I guess you could utilize social media just the way you use it, right? Don't use it,
Yeah.
don't post about the partying, but if you do a charity event, etc., post that, right?
Yes.
So
And
sometimes it's a
sell
thin line
yourself.
that we can't forget. Yeah,
Yeah,
these are young guys, though, right? I mean, the support group that they have around them, I think, is very important for this stuff.
yes, and that's one thing we do with the syndicate. We coach them up. Like I told guys already, I'm like, hey, if you got a gas station photo, remove that off your Instagram. Make it look clean, like your grandma's scouting for you. So, also another thing, don't put music in your film.
Why?
So you got to think that the person that's watching that film is a 55, 65-year-old man. He does not want to hear Little Baby, Little Yachty while you're running down catching passes. Just take the music off. Tell guys that all the time. I was like, heard that from scouts before, NFL scouts. They won't watch highlight films if Little Yachty, Little Baby is singing. They'll just exit, move on to the next athlete. Yep. And that was from multiple
Pick a
seasons.
song from the 80s, like a rock song from the 80s, put some AC/DC on there. Maybe that
You might-
resonates with the scout, no?
you might be lucky, but they're not a fan of the newer generation music. So
Okay. All right.
yeah.
I think it is cool. It's almost like you're setting up a whole service to get these guys going in the right direction. And, you recognize, okay, we're a stepping stone and there's nothing wrong with that. But you start teaching them about the brand and how to hold themselves and the financial side and all that. You don't hear that a lot. So, I mean, that's cool as a GM. You are doing that.
Yes, we definitely want to put them in the right direction. And then another thing we do is based on their size that they're coming in at, we might switch up their position because there's certain sizes that NFL teams look for based on position. And sometimes their college coach just put them there because they wanted them to be there. So, like, I have a tight end that dropped weight and he's now being a wide receiver because he's just he runs routes, does everything amazing, and he moved fast. He was at 250 pounds, played at a D2 level. He's 6'3", would have been an amazing wide receiver at any D1 school, but because he was the tallest wide receiver, they put him at tight end at his college. So no one's looking for a 6'3" tight end. They're all looking for 6'5" and up tight ends. 6'4", like minimum. Like, they want a big guy over there. You can find, even at wide receivers, you can find guys up to 6'5" running fast just because it's just like putting them in a position to win is also a thing. I've heard about college coaches totally shitting on guys, especially when it comes to pro day and even during the school year. Like, I was talking to a guy. It was a defensive lineman. The school was out on the East Coast. Then these guys played Division I football. They were ready for their pro day. Their the NFL liaison and the entire coaching staff, but the D-line coach and strength conditioning coach all left. So those college athletes that got promised and committed to that school basically got hung to dry because nobody set up a pro day for them. And with everyone being strict these days, no other school was letting them. Because you hear like, oh, they could just go do a pro day at another school. Not as easy as it seems. Everyone is shutting the door on allowing athletes that don't come to their school. The reason behind that is it makes their scouting department look bad if that guy comes in here and puts up better numbers than their guy. So now they shut the door on that. So every year there's probably about over 3,000 athletes that get missed out by the NFL because they don't get an opportunity to showcase their skills properly because nobody will open the door to them.
That's a lot.
Sad.
I mean, yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, from a school perspective, I sometimes feel like, because again, they're going through school to learn, right? Academically as well as on the football field, right? But
Yes.
sometimes, is it your impression too, like, doesn't a coach or coaching staff, and again, they get measured by success as well, but it could be a fine line in terms of like, hey, looking out for what's best for the coach versus the development of an individual player, as you just said, right? Nobody at the NFL level is going to recruit a 6'3", tight end. They want taller guys. So
Yeah.
that. I mean, in college, it's not going to grow anymore. So that coaching staff could help that player out by positioning him correctly, right?
Yes, even by
we need a big.
and even if they keep him at tight end, but they get him reps at wide receiver would help.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he went to the Tropical Bowl. He went to showcase games as a tight end at 6'3", but nobody told him, hey, at 6'3", you're probably not going to go to the NFL. So he was saving up money, spending money, and training as a tight end just to know that, hey, you're a wide receiver, hands down. And the coaches didn't help him with that. So, and just trying to put guys in the right positions to win.
What are some of your biggest challenges that you face?
The biggest challenge that I face, outside of the players not being in the right position, I would say either the agent or the parent that has no football knowledge. And it's mainly the parent. I would probably lean more towards the parent in this standpoint, telling them what to do and making their pro football decisions when it needs to be somebody that's like an agent that's, knows the industry. But even sometimes the newer agents don't know that, the league. And it's just getting them to kind of step back and letting somebody else help the athletes run the show. Because I've seen, for example, I've had an athlete miss his opportunity playing with the NFL, at least like camp pro day, because his dad or mama tells him, "Don't sign with that guy. Try to push your limits to somebody else because you did really good numbers at your pro day." Because some guys wait, and then some guys, I even have coaches told guys this: you don't need an agent. And I'm like, I was like, I was like, do you not want him to make it? I was like, and then I spoke with a good agent. His name's Craig Schaefer. He'll tell you need to sign with an agent the day after your last game immediately because their job is to market you to the teams and get them to your pro day, get your film out there. And sometimes the response that they get is, hey, we're going to see how your numbers do at the pro day. And then it goes, but you'll get guys that are asking, oh, what teams are coming to see me? What teams are coming to see me? And then you're like, none right now. They don't know who you are. You're not on a draft board. You didn't go to LSU. You didn't go to Oklahoma. Nobody knows who you are. You got to wait and see your pro day. So they'll go to their pro day, hit really good numbers, and then all these agents are now calling them, hitting up their line. They get Star Truck, and then their parents are like, leave that agent. They didn't do anything for you. He didn't get no scouts out there after you already broke down the game plan to him and told him how it goes. So they'll fire that agent and switch to another agent. But scouts will look at it and they're like, oh, so you left something because you couldn't follow a plan. And they'll head up with this new agent and then they just won't make it. All because their parents said, hey, that agent didn't do anything to you. When the agent literally told them this whole year round before he got to the pro day, hey, you're a nobody. You went to a small school. It's nothing against you. Just nobody's going to your school looking for you right now. And that goes for guys that, go to all the way from like low D1 schools like HCU, Tulum, Texas Southern. Scouts are not going out there. And if there are, there's a handful. I've been to pro days where there's only been one scout there. Now I've been to pro days where there's been 15 plus scouts there. So it just depends on what school you go to and how well that school has got scouts out there. Because it's their job to get them out there too, just as much as your agent. But you'll hear a lot of like I spoke with a guy over there for the Snakes, Saints, a scouting coordinator with them. He says that he doesn't go out to schools that agents tell him about. He'll tell you, hey, just send me the numbers when he's done. But he said, if you want me to come out, that school has to reach out to me. That coach has to reach out to me. So it is the coach's job.
Are any of these guys getting picked up by big agencies, or are they all small mom and pop agencies, and that's why it's a gamble with some of them?
It's small pop agencies. So the first 4 rounds are usually monopolized by the big agents because they're guaranteed going to the NFL at some they're either mini camp or they're getting drafted. Those are usually monopolized 1 to 4. 5 through 7 in UDAs are usually small and pop agencies, agents that don't have a lot of money to invest into athletes. Because every athlete nowadays is looking for, oh, I'm going to get an agent. He's going to pay for my training. The real reality of it, no. If you're not in that first projected 1 to 4 rounds, you're probably not getting a check. And then even later in the draft, you're still not getting a check because that can all change. You can, depending on how you perform in your pro day, you could drop out of that or you can move up in the 4th round. It really depends on the numbers. So I know when I was with the agency, we'd tell guys this. If you're 1 through 4, we'll give you money. If you're 5 through 7, we'll assist you with some money. We'll help you out. But if you're UDA, you're not on a draft board, the training's on you. But we have partnered with a couple gyms that will give you training for the whole month long or the whole couple months for cheap. I have a gym right out here in Houston. It's $3,000 from December until their pro day. It's $3,000 the whole time, and they work them out 3 to 4 times a week. So it's probably it's breaks down to about $1,000 a month plus whatever housing they want to stay at. And we have a gym like that in Houston, Atlanta, and then New York, Jersey area. So we give them opportunities where they don't have to spend. and they just have to move to that area and grind out if they want to, or they do training on their own. The biggest problem at that standpoint is, one, guys will complain. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't have money. I don't have money for that." I'd be like, "Well, you knew your pro day was coming up. You knew this was your last year of college. You should have been saving for this since your first year of college. You should have had a savings stand out, putting money out for your pro day." And it's something that the colleges don't do. They're so worried about books and taking money from the athlete. They're not really helping them, especially the coaches of, "Hey, you should probably do this, and do that." They're just telling, "Oh, perform well on the field, perform well on the field." If every coach is telling them perform well on the field, there's 16,000+ athletes performing well on the field. Only about 200 of them actually end up on a board. So,
What do you see the biggest mistakes being made by organizations when it comes to the scouting process? Where do the big mistakes happen?
the big mistakes happen probably, let's see. I would say what athletes they go for. So you see some NFL organizations seems like they just chase the helmet. They don't really chase the numbers, because you have guys that put up better numbers at lower schools with the same exact guys, but because they didn't wear the LSU helmet, they won't bring them in. And it's like, so what's the point of a pro day if you're not going to evaluate guys on those numbers? But it's also a proven thing. You could look up, there's probably about, the first round bust rate is over 50%. Half those guys don't even last 4 years in the NFL.
50% in the first round?
It's above 50%. I don't know the exact number, but it's high. Like, those guys,
That's more than half, you're saying.
yeah, there's only probably about, honestly, in the first round that make it to the fourth year, probably about no more than five to 10 each year that actually make it to their fourth year.
Why is that?
And it comes down to scouting and just focusing on the helmet. And the big schools, as you can see in the draft, you'll see LSU, Oklahoma,
Ohio State,
Indiana, Ohio State, those big schools, instead of, oh, let me actually get the guy that actually performs well. And actually, they're so worried about the helmet and not actually scouting. And that's when it comes back to what previously, at the beginning, where I told you, I was like, the scouts are going to have to evolve and to go into these other schools, and instead of just focusing on LSU, Oklahoma, Florida, these big schools. Like, yes, go check on them, of course, but I would send the newer scouts there. But the scouts that have the keen eye for the the good prospects, I'd send them to the smaller schools, because they might be able to identify a good prospect versus a newer guy.
I mean, could it be that, basically, a GM or, again, any professional organization, they're trying to cover their ass as well, in terms of like, hey, look, if this shit don't work out, at least I picked a guy from an Ohio State, from a Texas. It's like, hey, look, we went for a big school, big level, et cetera. So we did our part, you know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, really? You went for the guy, from Old Dominion versus, like a guy that was still on the board from Texas.
Yes, I think that definitely is playing a factor in it. A lot of GMs are afraid that, hey, I'm going to lose my job if I draft this guy over that guy and this guy performs well. But you also got mini camps, UDA offers that you could bring these guys in at it. It also comes down to, I draft this guy in the first round, and then my 6th round draft pick is better than my first round draft pick. I'm worried the media is going to blow me up for cutting my first round versus my 6th round, even though he's better. So
you definitely think outside the box. I mean, to me, the Dodgers brought Andrew Friedman in to do something totally different with analytics and all that, and started with Philly Who's Moneyball? The movie,
Yeah,
Yates.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
with your mentality, do you kind of build something up with the Continental League, and then do you try to go into the NFL for yourself and say, look, we're gonna switch this up. Your way of doing things, that's old school and BS, and you guys are missing the point, and this is what we need to do. Is that kind of your goal in a sense?
That would be an amazing goal, but then I have the politics to it. I'm young. They'll look at my age. Yeah, they'll look at, hey, he's young. What does he know that he's going to come in and tell me something like that? So, yes, I would love to. It's just getting one, the opportunity, and then two, I'm going to be, if I fail, they're going to be the first ones to try to get me out of there. So I have to be very particular with the guys I bring in. Even at this level, I have been told, I'm a young GM and I have to be real particular on the guys here. So yes, a lot is relying on me to be successful. So because you'll get guys that are not so much of fond and fans of me with my age and saying that, he's young, he doesn't know what he's doing, but hopefully the season will show them that I do know what I'm doing and they'll trust me. So, but it could be, yeah. But I would say this: the UFL needs to gut. Every team needs to gut 60% of their roster
You're
because
saying that because from an age perspective with these guys?
just from the athletes they have in the league that they say that they are. They say that they're player developmental, but you got guys that are been in there for 6 years. They're done. Cut them and go home. Like one rule I have over here, guys are going to be with us no more than 3 years. And even then, after that second year, it's going to be a real big question mark if they stay with us. I'm going to figure out why they're here still. Because I tell guys every time I bring them in, one of the first things I say is, I don't want you here. I want you to be in the NFL. I don't want you here. So I want you to come in here and play these 6 games, 8 games, and don't ever call my number again. I want you to be in the NFL. And they laugh, but it's like, yeah, they can call and thank me. But it's just one of those things. I was like, I don't want you to call me, ask you to come back next year. I want you to take this film and grow. And I wish the UFL would do that because they got guys that came out in 2020 still playing, and you're like, you're done, buddy. I was like, if you were going to go to the NFL, you would have won already. So, and I think that's what's real big on their end. They would probably fill a lot more seats if they have those stars that almost made it be in that league versus the stars that were prime 2020, 2021 still playing. So, yeah. And that's what hopefully we build over here.
Yeah. No pictures with gas stations and no film with things, so
yeah,
you're gonna be good. But hey, man, this has been super interesting in terms of from your perspective as a scout, as a GM, because you're the guy I'm interviewing with if I'm trying to go on your team. So I think this is a different perspective, and I think it's been super helpful. But you're not quite off the hook yet because Eric, do you have a few questions for?
I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna do 10 true, false, or one-word answer questions. All right.
Okay.
So, one word. What's the scariest word in football management?
New.
Okay. Which matters more, talent or chemistry?
Chemistry.
Okay. True or false? Every GM has at least one draft pick that still keeps them awake at night.
True.
Okay. Your favorite football movie?
I think it's called Remember the Titans.
Yes,
Maybe-
it
I knew you were
is.
gonna
My
say
daughter
that,
and
yes.
I just watched it.
Yep. Best movie ever.
True or false? Fans think team building is easier than it actually is.
True.
Yep. One word answer. Hardest position to evaluate.
And corner.
Okay. True or false? You've ever celebrated a win and immediately started worrying about next week?
False.
Okay. What's more valuable, speed or discipline?
Discipline.
True or false? A great locker room can save a struggling season.
True.
Last one. Describe your job in one word.
Intense.
I'm sure it is intense.
Yep.
Well, hey, good luck with the upcoming season. This has been great. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. And just to let y'all know, y'all are invited to our first game or any games. Just let me know and I'll have you tickets set up so you can come watch the game and you can bring as many people as you want.
All right, looks like we're going to
sounds good.
Texas, Ronnie.
I mean, I've been out to Austin. I mean, actually, I'm a Longhorns fan, so.
Hey, how
Okay,
far
okay.
are you from Dallas?
We are about 3.5 hours. We actually play the Fort Worth Braves are out there, so we will be playing them out there.
Okay.
So
Right on. Well, very cool, Matt. Again, appreciate it very much. Thanks, man. Best of
All right.
luck in the season.
all right, sounds good.